Recording in progress.
So this is the very first time that I'm doing something like this. Usually discussions about books are with friends, but this is the first time where I'm actually sharing in detail about my experiences with books and the things that I have shared with my friends, and also to convey the magic, or at least hope to see that you are able to see what unique field is this bibliotherapy. All right, we'll wait for a few minutes and then begin. I think you can give me a thumbs up if you're able to see me and hear me. Yeah, thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Shloka. All right. So we'll start with prayer. In India, a book is not just a book; it's also a medium to be in touch with Goddess Saraswati. So we'll begin. All right. So in India, Saraswati is considered as the goddess of knowledge. I mean, it's beyond, like, in India, it's very known. So let me start with a prayer on Saraswati, and then we'll begin. Saraswati Namastubhyam Vande Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Me Sada. So for us, it's just not book as it is also a medium of knowledge. Goddess Saraswati can save us, can help us enrich our lives. So let's begin. I will start by being grateful to my family, because I'm able to do this unique workshop because I have been reading, and it began at home. So I'm grateful to my family for giving me this wonderful window, um, and inculcating the habit and the interest to read. And then throughout the life, I have been very blessed, fortunate to have received a lot of books as gifts, and I mean, the number is immense. I happened to meet the right people at the right time, and also some of the conversations were such that they just felt that they should give a book to me, and it has so happened. So even when I'm going to different places, I do keep an eye on what kind of literature is popular in that field, in that area, to expand my interests. I'm also grateful to all the writers who have written wonderful books and helped me with their writings. Um, so when it comes to the writers, I felt that I must do something for my favorite author, and I did something really special, which I will tell you towards the end of this workshop. So now, I'm also very grateful to the team that helped me come up with this workshop. Sai Kiran, Ashutosh, and Srinivas from You and I Foundation. They helped me figure out the basics on how to start this particular workshop, and finally, I am very grateful to you for having given me your time and trusting me with your time today. On Sunday morning, you could have done anything else, but you chose to be with me. So, I'm very grateful to you for that. Okay. I hope whatever I said until here was all fine. Because this is the first time I'm doing, I will have to confirm that everything is okay. Just give me a thumbs up if all is okay. All right. So I'll continue. Some of you already know how things work in a Zoom call. So just basic instructions for you here, that I would want you to keep your audio muted so there is no disturbance throughout. Also, whenever I'm saying something, you could also consider noting it down, because a line somewhere can help you in changing a few dynamics about your life. So I suggest that you keep a pen and notebook next to you. So if there need be, you can just note it down. And I will spend some time answering some questions at the very end. So the interaction will happen after I have finished conveying what I wanted to convey through this workshop. All right. So this is today's agenda. I introduce to what exactly is bibliotherapy. I will touch a little bit on the subject of therapy and then come to the benefits process. Now, if you go to sources related to bibliotherapy, they talk about therapeutic effects and things like that, which are about just taking a book and reading it, the book that is recommended to you, basically. But for me, bibliotherapy goes beyond that. If there is a book and a pen involved, I feel that it will come under the arc of bibliotherapy. That is how I have framed this workshop. And I'm going to add all the experiences that I've had with different forms of bibliotherapy. And I think by the end of this workshop, I am very certain that you will at least carry one idea which you have never thought of when it comes to books. That's a promise. All right. Some of you know me already, and some of you are here seeing me for the first time. So I would like to introduce myself a little bit and then move to the subject. Basically, I'm a chess professional. You can see chess elements in this slide. And I started chess in 2004. So I've been playing chess, you can say, for 21 years now. And during these 21 years, of course, I've been doing chess, but I also had other interests and I pursued them. And one of them was literature or books in general. In 2014, I came across a contest by a publishing house called Redomania. It was a short story contest. I participated in that contest, and I then forgot about it. One day, randomly, I got an email that my short story was shortlisted. So the title of the story was Hide and Seek. Okay. And they liked the story. I got to know later that the publisher had not really liked the story so much, but one of the co-authors, like we got published in an anthology, so one of the authors really liked it and pushed for it, and that is why my short story got published in Renomania's anthology called Chronicles of Urban Nomads. It's a very special book for me because through that book I also met a lot of people who are friends with me till date. So that was a special book. With this example, I am also telling you that one thought can actually gain you a lot. My one thought to just start writing a short story, and then through divine will, the story got published, and then I met a lot of authors who were part of that anthology, and then they became my friends for life. So that is a kind of power that I will touch upon at various places in this workshop. And then in 2016, I also wrote a film, which I will talk about later. And then in 2022, I me as a family, we started a library in Belagavi. And since the name of the book that I wrote in 2016 was called The Lively Library and an Unlikely Romance, we thought this is a good idea to name the library after the book. For some of you, it may seem very obvious. You write a novella about a library, and when you open a library, you will definitely give the name, right? But we arrived at this particular name after a lot of discussion. It was not logical for us in the beginning, but then, so yes, in Belagavi, we have about 20,000 books now. I started with my personal collection, and then through a lot of benevolent people, I was able to get book donations, and now we have about 20,000 books in Belagavi. It's in Rani Chennamanagar, and that is how the Lively Library is here. My other interests include tarot, astrology, and music. So that's about me. Let's move on. So when you enter any therapy, okay, if you have experienced some kind of therapy before, great. But for those who have never, been to a therapy session, one thing which is very common in therapies that I've observed is that they give you a sheet, they evaluate you, they understand your story, and they also ask you to ponder on your values, and then they ask you to prioritize your values. Your value could be anything, like one of your values could be that love is the most important thing in my life, and the other value could be that I believe in helping people. It can be anything. There are so many possibilities, so many values. A part of it is also influenced by your ambient surroundings, your company, and of course part of it is definitely in your control, and you can influence your values. Here I am not talking about values in this workshop, I am talking about beliefs. I am straight away going to tell you what I believe in, and then you will be able to connect the dots as to why I am saying something. Because the core beliefs are very important when I am sharing this. I believe in two things, and I'm going to share that now. The first thing that I believe in is that I believe that the right book comes to me at the right time. So it's a very philosophical thought, but literally it has worked for me. If I am having some kind of a challenge and I happen to be at a bookstore, I've had many experiences where I have actually chanced upon the perfect book for me at that moment. This is my first belief. I believe this very truly. And then I also believe that in life, as little as a millisecond is enough to change lives. This also echoes the concept of Zen, wherein an enlightenment kind of a moment can happen just like that. So I do believe one word somewhere, one line you are listening somewhere can actually change your life forever, and it has happened to me. So at the end of this workshop, I want you to keep these two things in mind and test it for yourself. You don't have to believe it because I am saying. I want you to test this. Let's say believe for a week that everything that you're saying is meant for you and you are at the right place at the right time, and see if there is any difference in your life. And through this 50 minutes that we're going to spend, even if one line or one idea that you're taking from this has helped you, then the time that I'm spending here, the purpose is served. Alright, let's go ahead. So now coming to the basics. What exactly is bibliotherapy? Now when you look at the word itself and when you break it down, it is very clear it's not an Indian word. It's coming from Greek. So as I mentioned here in this slide, it's derived from the Greek words biblion, meaning book, and therapia, meaning healing. For me, it's a broader way of using the term. As I mentioned, if there is a book involved and if there is a pen involved in whatever you do, I would call that as a form of bibliotherapy, whatever it is. We will come to the forms of it, but that is my definition. If there is a book involved and there is a pen involved, then you are already engaging in some sort of bibliotherapy. And then also I read that in Greece, they had libraries next to hospitals, okay? And they also had theaters. So people were relying on the medicine, and they were also relying on reading, and reading was considered as a supplement to their healing. And I think this is a great idea. Even recently, there was a foundation called Sanjeevani Foundation from Mumbai. It was a hospital foundation, and they had a library. And they also donated a lot of books to our library. But yes, even in India, there are some hospitals. I don't know if this is a general practice now, but at least I know of one library which does, one hospital which had a library. So they saw libraries as the healing places for the soul. But when it comes to Indian culture, this idea of going through a book and then having an impact, or having the book have an impact, letting the book have an impact on you, is not new in India. We have been doing this for ages. So it's just, it sometimes feels that it's a old concept, but it is coming through somebody else under a new name. But yeah, I do believe that this is something that we all Indians are aware, and we can use that. All right. Now, there are so many therapies these days. Recently, I also came to know that there is a therapy related to fragrance. Like, if you are if you are experiencing difficulty in some area of your life, there is an associated fragrance that you could have around you, and it can have an impact. There is also tea therapy, and I have personally experienced that. Suppose you want to have a good night's sleep, you can have this chamomile tea, that's also a nice one. If you want some energy, then ginger tea is great. But okay, coming back to books, Aparna madam says that there is one institute called Ratna Nidhi Trust which builds libraries in hospitals in Mumbai. Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing it. So now, what is so unique about this bibliotherapy? I'll just talk about the basics. Suppose you are going to a cinema, okay, and your friend is suggesting that, hey, let's go to this movie, and you are not having, you don't want to say no, and you go to the movie, and your friend likes the movie, but you don't like it. Let's assume this is one aspect. Now let us say you are alone, you are buying a ticket for yourself, you go to the movie, it's a 180 minutes movie, but at the end of 30th minute you realize that the movie is not for you. In this place, how many of you will actually come out of the theater? I have seen some of them do, some of them don't. I read a theory about this. It's called the sunken cost fallacy. Sometimes you end up finishing or watching the movie because you have paid for the ticket. Okay? But in my opinion, it's a wise thing to just realize that it is not meant for you and just come out and use your time in a better way. Now in bibliotherapy, what happens is, suppose you are just going through a book and then you're reading it, but the book is not really serving you well, it's not really helping you, and then the book lies in your bedroom or wherever, and then you end up not reading it, and because you have not finished it, you end up not buying another book because you see a pile of 100 books. This also happens. But in bibliotherapy, what happens is a therapist or a bibliotherapist or the facilitator, he or she offers set of guided reading choices. So they will prescribe your books, and it's an antidote to DNF zone. So DNF zone means did not finish. It's a term by Molly Masters. So I have a book here by Molly Masters on bibliotherapy, and she says this, it's called DNF zone. So suppose you want to read a book, but you're not sure which one, again, bibliotherapy helps. So there is no challenge here of not finishing because it's a recommendation tailored for you. You are more likely to end up reading it, like you will finish the book. And the other aspect of bibliotherapy is that it is timeless, like the words will stay reliable and accessible, because nowadays, even if you find it hard to carry heavy books, you can read them digitally. So that is why I think this is also a very good form of therapy. I have already talked about certain benefits. One of the things that I have observed is writing is also therapeutic, but when you're reading, it slows you down. We are now doom scrolling, we are in that age. Many of us spend time and then we're not sure where the time went. But in reading, what happens is it slows you down and helps you to be mindful. And there has been a lot of research on this aspect as to whether books really help your health or not. The answer is obvious, they do, and the percentage is beyond 50%. So it is important that you take up this. These benefits are very obvious. I'm just reiterating that. And as you can see, there's a quote that I've added which says that, like the body requires exercise, right? Yoga, or gym, or HIIT exercises, cycling, or whatever. I think the same is also important for your soul. So here the word mind is mentioned, but I'm going a little deeper. If certain concepts go beyond the mind and touch your soul, then nothing like it. Now, I have spent some time giving you introduction about what is bibliotherapy and also making a case as to why we must consider incorporating bibliotherapy in our lives. Now I'm going to tell you the process. So even even in sessions like, let's say, if you want a mental coach, before you meet the mental coach, they give you a questionnaire, and based on the answers to your questions, they will arrive at certain conclusions even before meeting you. And after that, they will start listening to you. This is a very common thing in, like, a lot of mental health experts or mental coaches, mental game coaches, they have these questionnaires. So under bibliotherapy also, the bibliotherapist does a vibe check. He'll send you a list of questions to understand what's your frame of mind, what's your reading style, and then what is the pertinent challenge at the moment, what is it that they want to do in the future. And once a basic overview is given to the therapist, then they come with a guided recommendations. So they recommend you certain things, certain books or certain passages that the querent can go through. That is how it works. So what happens is, in the process, you will also revisit your own relationship or association with books. So at the end of this workshop, I'll also send you I will send you a set of reflective questions if you want prescriptions from me, and you may actually get the right book. Now, there are a lot of YouTube channels that have come up in the book space or book reading space, and two of my favorite channels are Chalchitra Talks and Kitabi Cabins. And around in 2019, I came across this one book called Novel Cure by Ella Berthoud. So this book has different categories and subjects, and there are books recommended for every category. Suppose you want some kind of inspiration, so there will be a category about inspiration and optimism, and there will be books recommended related to it. Some books will be non-fiction, some will be fiction, so you can choose according to the taste. While I was talking, I hope you also paid some attention to the quotes on the left. Malala also agrees with me that sometimes, one thought, one book can change your life. And I definitely agree with what Stephen King is saying here, that books are a uniquely portable magic. One of the best things about books is that it feels like you are in a time travel mode, because you are able to read what has been written in the past. You're also able to visualize it in your mind, and you're also able to think about it. So in a way, you are in the past, in the present, and in the future. So I'm here talking about books in general, but yes, basically that is the process. But like I mentioned in the earlier part of this workshop, that I am not limiting myself to just getting a list of books to read. For me, this subject is a little beyond just recommending a book, which I will shed more light on. Now, this is a personal angle which I have mentioned here. It's an angle of synchronicity. Now, what is synchronicity? Does anybody here know? Can you give me 2-3 lines on this? What is it? Have you heard this word before? You can maybe put your answer in the chat. So basically, I came across this word through a book called as The Synchronicity Key by David Wilcock. Yeah, some of you are already aware. Tanmay says being in absolute sync with the universe. Lakshmi says Carl Jung. Yes. So meaningful coincidences. This is one way to put it. Now, in the beginning of this workshop, I told you that I have two beliefs, that I am always like, I feel that the right book comes to me at the right time. That's again on the lines of synchronicity. Now, why am I touching on this? I was talking to my father-in-law, and he was telling about different methods used in the past for healing. And he said for any solution to work, 3 things are important. He said, yeah, Aparna, I agree with you, serendipity. The first thing for a solution to work is the faith. So I really like that he put faith before. So faith first, and then the second thing is the medium, and then the result. So this is how he says the solution works. First comes the faith, then comes the medium, and then comes the result. If you just have the medium and no faith, there is very less likely of the therapy working on you. When you are choosing that therapy, you should believe that it's going to help you. This is the primary prerequisite. So once you're aware that, okay, I'm going for this therapy and it's going to help me, if you go with that kind of a mindset, there are more chances of you tuning in with what you're supposed to be learning from that. So first thing that I mentioned is you must focus on the faith, and second thing is a medium. Like here we are using books as a medium, words as a medium, and the third part is the result, which is an eventuality. Tanmay says that there is another book on this. It's called Living in Flow by Sky Nelson Isaacs. Okay, I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, but the name of the book is Living in Flow by Sky Nelson. Thank you, Tanmay. So yes, now why did I touch on this subject? I touched on this subject because it's connected to one of my favorite authors. So throughout my life, I have gifted this particular book to more than 50 people. It's very easily more than 50. So what is the unique part about this book? So there is this book called as Illusions. I hope it's visible to you. So it's called Illusions, and it's by Richard Bach, one of my favorite authors. Or let's say when I talk about my favorite authors, he is the number one. So this book is about 2 characters, and one of them says that he has learned certain things somewhere, and in order to learn they give them a book, and the name of the book is Messiah's Handbook. So what is the unique part about this book? You must open the book, like think of a question in mind, and then open the book randomly, go to a random page, take a left or a right side, it's your choice, and then open your eyes. The answer to your question is on that page. This is how it works. And then when you read it, in my experience, the answer in that book has at least prompted me to a certain direction. It is not going to give you answers in specifics. The answers will be abstract, but it's up to you on how you interpret in many cases, but it leads you further. If you are having some kind of blocks in your life, it will help you in releasing that. So this is Messiah's Handbook. and it's a number one favorite for me. If I am giving a gift to somebody on their birthday, I usually do this. Now, after having studied this book and understood this book in 2016, later, a few years later in 2020, I happened to learn tarot. So, the premise of tarot and the methodology that I said before is almost the same. In tarot, it's about initiation, and you get initiated, you go into the world of tarot. There is a querent, you are the reader, and then you have set of cards, there is a question, you open the card, and then you interpret that, and then you give the answer. This is how tarot works. And because of this book of Richard Bach, it helped me very easily to become a tarot reader. So I have done that to close friends, and it's a very powerful divination tool. Aparna says that she has done this without knowing so many times, and she can vouch for it that it works 100%. So I already have somebody who has experienced what I have experienced. All right, let me go to the next slide. So before we go here, before I come to the forms of therapy, I want to take a pause here and introduce you to two of my friends. One is Sai Kiran, he's here, and there's also Srinivas Kulkarni. So Sai Kiran will talk about the U&I Foundation. So we are doing this with their support, and he'll talk about the goals and what exactly is U&I Foundation. So I'm trying to find him here. For a moment I will stop sharing, and he'll introduce himself. Hello Sai Kiran, you are audible to us. Bro, you're on mute.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Niranjan, and for giving me this for your insights on bibliotherapy. I'm already thinking that I am just looking at my bookshelf and I'm like, oh my God, I've done this. I've not read so many books, but it's on like the DNF mode. But thank you, and I'm gonna pick some books from there, and I'm gonna definitely start reading. I've already have few books in my mind. I'm like, okay, this was connected with me when I bought it, but I've not read it. But yeah, so thanks for that. Thanks for your and giving me this opportunity. So I would like to talk about you and I. And what does you and I does? So you and I is an organization which is basically focused on empowering the underprivileged kids and communities from who doesn't have direct access to education. And I hope there are few people in this session today who are who are from U and I community. I hope they are there. But just in case if they are not, I would like to tell to them that U and I is a very great community with very great people who tries to build a gap that is who's tried to fill the gap that is there between from these kids to our life. So I always believe that there is a bridge that is there in this world, and this bridge is what we need to fill. Like we need to build this bridge so that there are these kids who are not able to having access to education come to in our world. So our worlds are different. My world is different. Niranjan Anna's world is different. Every person in this call is a little bit privileged to be able to have access to this internet and facilities and Zoom call everything. So these kids don't have that access, and we are trying to build this bridge. So at UNI Belgium, we have a specific problem. These kids have HIV, and they are going through a lot of tough time every day. But we are trying to creating that bridge every day and we go there every Sunday. There are set of volunteers. There is Srinivas in this call. So along with Srinivas, I work, and there are a lot of volunteers who go on every Sunday and teach these kids. They teach English, they teach any other science, social studies, and life skills. We give them career counseling. We show them that life, there is more to life than just taking medications and just doing your mundane things. And we give them insights, and they don't have role models, so we try to create role models for them. So this is what we do it here. It's a volunteer driven approach. We get nothing out of it. It's just individual contributions and individual passion that has between every one of them. That as they say, as Niranjana said, that one child, one book, everything can change our life. So we are just trying to change their life by giving some insight. So yeah, that's about you and I. And I think bibliotherapy also aligns with you and I work that is there, because we also believe in having that there like it's not like it's like these children comes from different background and they don't have basic reading skills. With this therapy, we can also act like a mediator and suggest them books, which books to go first, and they'll get interest in the reading and education. So this is one of the links that I found. And yeah, thanks for this. And thank you for this opportunity. And let's hear what Niranjan has there to say more. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai Kiran. Let's come back. Yes. Yes, Aparna says, Sai Kiran, that your work itself is a kind of therapy. And thank you, Neha. So, Sai Kiran, great work. I'm very happy that I am able to do my bit and also give a chance to everybody else to do their bit. Coming back to the therapy, the next slide is the most important slide of the workshop, which is the forms of bibliotherapy. Now, I have made 4 categories here, and I will slowly elaborate on each of them. The first one is called the expressive writing or just writing. Here, the term expressive is just adding more intensity. So, this is an exercise especially to those who are artists, who are into some kind of artwork, also for those who feel they are blocked in their life. I am talking about life in general, not creative blocks or not limited to creative blocks. If you're just feeling blocked in general, oh, you're not able to see the screen? Let me check. Okay, I will enlarge the screen. One moment. Hold on. Thank you for letting me know. This one, is it this one? Yeah, I think now it should be visible. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Coming back. Alright. So, this exercise is especially for those who feel blocked in their lives, and not limited to creativity, any kind of block. Let's say you're feeling that you're not getting what you want. You're feeling that life is becoming messy or it feels too overwhelming. For them, I would definitely suggest this. I have done this for many years. Now, our body has a mechanism to flush out the waste. Similarly, we're going to use the same concept for our mind. What exactly is free writing? You wake up in the morning. For convenience, whenever I am doing morning pages, in the recent years I have not done because I have made, I feel that I could go to it whenever I want to. I am saying this based on experience. Have a book and pen next to you, next to your bed. You wake up in the morning, maybe say a prayer, and then just start writing there. Or if you want it to be more ambience oriented, you can place the book and pen on a table wherever you are convenient. Come there and just start writing. There are only 2 rules. Keep writing, don't think. That's about it. So now some of you will say, oh, I have a book and I have a pen and I have to just start writing. What exactly do I start writing about? What is the topic? That will be the first thought. But I am saying just scribble, but keep your pen growing. Your pen has to keep going on. You can write gibberish, it can be scribbling, it can be doodles, but set yourself 5 minutes timer and you just have to keep writing. This is a concept popularized or let's say championed by Julia Cameron. Her books, The Artist's Way, The Listening Path, The Vein of Gold, they're all really amazing. But start with this simple exercise, morning pages. And here is something that you could do for yourself. If you are able to do 7 days of morning pages, let's say you wake up in the morning, you take a pen and paper and you just start scribbling without stop for 5 minutes and you put it aside. You don't have to read what you have written. You don't have to show it to anybody. It's your personal space, and then do it the next day. And if you do it for 7 days, we can say that you have earned yourself a chance to gift yourself the book, The Artist's Way. So do it for 7 days, then you invest on that book called The Artist's Way. Don't be in a hurry to go to that book. First do it for 7 days. You will see an impact. You can, of course, people can just go and buy the book and then see. But I feel you should first do this for 7 days and then order it on Amazon, and then when the book arrives, or go to the store nearby, when the book arrives and you start reading, the effect is different. You will feel that you already got a head start and now you can complete the book. It's a great exercise. So that's the thing. You wake up in the morning, just keep writing. Simple rules. You don't have to think about it. Don't be judgmental about your thoughts, because this comes under therapy. In therapy, they don't judge you. They offer you space for you to share your thoughts or just blurt it all out. So that's the basic idea. Also, after 2020, what I have observed is the number of books that fall under the category of guided journals have also increased. So you can buy any guided journal. A guided journal is a book with prompts on every page or some exercises on every page. So you can just Google or find it on Amazon, guided journals, journals with some prompts, prompt journals, Q&A journals. Now there are journals like journals for teens, journals for couples, and so on. Of course, it's a great genre, but you can choose which one works for you. And the third one is something that we have all been doing, especially all the book lovers. You can like highlight the points that you love in the book. You can treasure those moments. Why do you highlight the pages? Generally to revisit and see the points that touched you in some way. I am a huge collector of second-hand books. So I have seen a lot of different things in the second-hand book. Some people have love letters in them, some people have peacock feathers, some people have coins. I have found them all, and it has actually inspired me to write a particular chapter in my book, The Lively Library. So these three categories come under expressive writing, where you can just write. Some people I have observed, when they are buying journal for themselves, find it hard to write because the journal looks so shiny and you don't feel like writing down something that doesn't feel good in such a great shiny book. Get rid of this feeling. Make sure that you use it for the purpose that you have actually bought it. So journaling also will come under expressive writing. Going further, when there is a book prescription, narrative therapy plays a role. What I mean by narrative therapy, I'll give you a small example, but it's coming from a movie. I was coming from a tournament from Delhi. I had a challenging tournament. It was not so much in my favor, and I was not sure what to do next. I knew that there was an opportunity to play abroad, but I was a little reluctant. And in that train journey, I watched this movie called First Man. And in that movie, there is this scene where Neil Armstrong, The First Man is a movie about moon landing by the US. So Neil Armstrong is the protagonist there. So he is supposed to tell his children that there is a chance he may not return. That was such a powerful scene for me. And it changed my decision that day. I actually decided to go and play the tournament that I was reluctant to play on, and it actually helped me. And I was reluctant because it had financial challenges attached to it. But here his life is at risk and he's still being brave enough to go and try. So that really inspired me. So a movie can also inspire you, a song can also inspire you. There is also something called as poetry therapy. Like there is a store in London where there are small bottles, like the bottles you see in homeopathy stores, small bottles. In that there are paper rolls. Paper is rolled and put inside, and based on the emotion you want to experience, they will give you a roll, like a prescription. And that poem is a prescription to your soul or to whatever you are facing right now. This is also there, and in reality it's in London. I've also tried something similar in the Lively Library, but what I've observed in current days is that people are coming to the library for the space, not for the books anymore. But I am hoping that will change. So that is about the character-driven angle, where one character's decision inspires you. So in bibliotherapy, based on the kind of challenge you are experiencing, they will suggest you a book in which the character has the same kind of challenge, and the actions taken by that particular character helps you in understanding what you're supposed to do. It's not spoon feeding, but it is in a way suggesting possibilities. So that is character driven. Now there are also some powerful stories which change the way you think. There was a time when I thought life is all about white and black. I'm not hinting at the chess angle here, but I thought either there are good people or there are bad people. But as I grew, I realized it's not so. You cannot put them in white or black boxes. There's a movie I watched called Tani Oruvan. It's a Tamil movie. And in that, the beginning of the movie, it starts with this quote, that the real battle between good and bad lies in determining which is which. So I picked up this quote and I also used this as epitaph in the Lively Library. So when my book opens, this Lively Library, on the first page, when the book starts, I have this quote that, that the real battle between good and bad lies in determining which is which, and I've actually credited that movie, Tani Oruvan. So, some stories can change the way you think. So that comes under narrative therapy. Either it's story driven or character driven. And then there are some people who love collecting. That is also some form of a therapy, because I have seen that some people who love doing philately enjoy some kind of space. They love doing philately. They love collecting coins and even exhibiting them. Similarly, I have seen that some people write down some memories. They write down certain quotes or certain portions that they liked in their own journal. So you can also do that if you feel like, it has an amazing effect. I'll tell you how. Someday, somewhere, you are opening that book and suddenly you find that the answer or something, some quote that you had written 10 years back, 5 years back, has come to your rescue in that particular moment. That is why I said that the life of these books is like time travel. You can go back, come back, you can go to the future. So that is about thoughts collector. So there are some, like I am also a collector. You know that I am a huge fan of Richard Bach. So I have about 20 books, out of which I have about 5 to 6 copies of Messiah's Handbook and about 5 to 6 copies of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I have the copy, but I wanted to collect more. I have editions from the very beginning and to the very latest. There are many editions of that book, even Illusions and Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So Tanmay says, very similar to Amish Tripaঠি's concept of good versus evil. When I brought this grey area, Shiva trilogy, what is a true evil? It can be a tradition, an instrument, a concept, might or might not be a group of people. Yes, I agree. So if you are a fan of some sort, whether there have been many moments where I don't know anything about the book, but I buy it because it has author's signature. So that's a bookish fan in me. And then I'm coming to the fourth aspect which I have mentioned here, which will tie all that I have been telling you so far. It's called the spiritual bibliotherapy. Now what is spiritual bibliotherapy? I am just adding a spiritual element to whatever I have mentioned. So here I told you that in 2023, January 6th, on January 6th we inaugurated the Lively Library. And while we were in the process of arranging books and everything, one kind person donated a book, and it was about Dattatreya Charitra. I happened to read the preface, I understood what it was, and then I eventually did the Parayana, like a full reading of the book, and I did experience great benefits. So this comes under reading Charitra, or reading something that's related to God, or something that talks about great powers. In simple words, something that talks about great powers can also help you in invoking the powers that you have within. So that has had an effect on me. That comes under Parayana. Then, in one of the national teams championship, I was actually representing Tamil Nadu. Our team manager from Tamil Nadu told me a very interesting story. He was just walking on the road, and suddenly one guy gave him three things. He gave him the red ink pen, he gave him the Bhagavad Gita, and then he gave him a blank book. And he said, just start writing, copy this. Now, this manager had no idea what were the essentials, what is the essence of this particular book, or why he is doing this. He was having high blood pressure, and that was a major challenge in his life during that period. And because this guy randomly said, just write down the Gita, copy down the Gita in your book, that's about it. There was no how, why, no questions involved, because this guy has said, this guy wrote. So this manager told me this story personally in Goa. He wrote down, without understanding the meaning of it, Tamil guy, just writing, copying down what is written in that book to this book. And in 90 days period, he told me that his body changed. He no longer suffered so intensely, and he attributed it to writing this. And he said that I don't know what it is, but writing this has some effect. I cannot explain to you what it is, but I have been a changed man. So these were the words of the manager. In many places also they suggest writing God's name. I would include this under bibliotherapy. You just think of any moment where there is a challenge. If you have this planned out, it works better. I'll give you an example. Suppose you know you are having some sort of anxiety or depression, and you know some kind of an attack could come. If you already have a solution planned for when that happens, you are a step ahead in dealing with it. So what you should be doing is, if this happens, I will always carry a book and pen and start writing the name of my favorite God. It can be anything. You can just write, I'm the best. You can just write affirmations. That also works. But I would say writing God's name also comes under this category. And then the last part, this is the name, this is new, it's not there anywhere else. I have written this as talismanic bibliotherapy. So you know what is a talisman? It can be something that you keep in your pocket like a lucky charm. So what I mean by talismanic bibliotherapy is that, I don't know if you have done this, but I have done this. I have kept a book below the pillow, like under the pillow. I've just kept book and I've slept, hoping that whatever is there in the book, the essence of the book, the power of the book transfers. So it has had an effect, but I have believed in it. This is very important. You must believe that it will have an effect, and it does. So recently I also got to know that it's a real story, okay? A person had challenges with alcoholism, and one of his gurus said that, okay, I can see that, but you just carry a copy of Gita with you. And this person who got the book was struggling, but eventually the presence of the book itself was enough for him to change. The change did not happen overnight, like in 7 days or 1 month. It took some time, but that book was just a reminder of the path that he is meant to take, and eventually he overcame the habit. So here I am saying just the existence of the book itself has an effect. I personally carry books which I know I will not read, but I will carry them. Sometimes they become my mouse pads, like this, and sometimes they come to me as if, okay, this book is meant to travel with me. I don't know when I will read it, but it's there, it's coming to me, so I will carry it. So it has had an effect on me. So you can keep a favorite book with you just for the sake of the talismanic effect, and see whether it works for you. Okay. Now, a lot of people, like I directly went into bibliotherapy because that is the topic of today's workshop, but we can go a step back and just talk about books, because whatever comes later is all about therapy. But in order to engage in that, you should know whether you can do it. You should be ready to engage yourself in this subject. So I would suggest that you ask these questions to yourself. What happens is sometimes you have just not given yourself the right opportunity to cultivate the habit. Sometimes what happens is in families there is no budget to buy books, so you have probably not read at all. Sometimes you have books but you don't read it because the book is there with you anytime. You can read it anytime you want, and with this comes some kind of procrastination. So I would suggest right now you can just revisit your habits. What kind of reader are you? Are you somebody who likes to be digital? Do you like physical, the feeling of the paper? If you have not explored the other, I would suggest you try that also and then take a call. Do you enjoy jotting down quotes or do you enjoy highlighting them? Do you love listening to audiobooks? Have you tried that? Like you have a book, you have not been able to read it, but try the same book in audio format and see. There is Amazon audiobook, there are other different mediums for audiobooks these days. You can also try exploring that. There are book reading devices like the Kindle. Of course, Kindle is not so popular right now because it's becoming expensive, but there are other devices, reading devices in the market ranging from 8,000 onwards. You can also explore that. If you have an Android phone or an iPhone, you can also read books on a Kindle app. It gives the same feeling. Especially if you have an iPad or a tablet, it has the same feeling as the Kindle. You can try that also. There are some situations in which you just feel that there's only one book in the world and the book is, let's say, about your favorite author. When I gave the preliminary form to you, I saw that a lot of you have written that your favorite author is Chetan Bhagat. I do believe he has helped people to come to books, but I feel that you must also explore other genres, other authors. And unless you go and explore, you will not know what you are missing out on. So just go and explore. And for those who are having a reading slump, not able to read, I have some ideas. Start with something simple. You can Google, or you can just search on YouTube, books that you can finish in an hour, books that you can finish in a day. I'll give you a couple of recommendations. Books that you can finish in a day, I can say, I can also tell my book, but I'm saying Illusions is one book you can finish in a day. Jonathan Livingston Seagull is a book you can finish in a day. Little Prince is a book you can finish in a day. And then there are quotation books also. You can also try this. Alan Klein has written a book of quotes. Winnie the Pooh's books are also really good. Tinkle comics, you can read it easily. Tinkle, my favorite, I like Supandi very much. So, when you start with something which is easy, it helps you to build on. The other aspect that I have observed is a lot of people don't go on exploring because they come across a book that feels boring to them or a book that puts you to sleep. I would suggest you start looking at what you like. Not really limited to books, but what you like in life. And then find if there is something connected to that genre under books, under the category of books. Short stories by Ruskin Bond. A very nice recommendation by Aparna. Aparna, by the way, is also an author. She has written a great book. You can check. Aparna Nagda is her name. Now, coming to the next aspect. If you love a particular author, try reading another book by the author. And then you can slowly get to a place where you are back to reading. Then based on this book called Atomic Habits, I have suggested a few ideas. I have substituted what he has suggested overall to just books here. So if you have a clear reading goal, it is great. Like let's say if you have a partner, tell them that you would want them or you would want to read together at least 2 pages before you go to bed. This is a great practice to have a book next to you on the bedside and then have that practice to read 2 pages. 2 pages you can read, 2 pages your partner can read, or if you are having parents there, parents can read 2 pages. The discussion related to books should happen. It is good for the family. Now, also there is this concept called habit stacking. Based on that, you can keep books. If you come to my house, you can see books in different places, and there is not a single place where you sit and you will not see a book. So it's like that. Even if you sit in the kitchen, you can see a book. So it's like that in my house. I think it's a great idea to encourage more reading. You can utilize technology and reduce friction. Suppose you have dedicated time, let's say 6 a.m. in the morning to 6:15, I am going to read. Don't create a fiction there saying that, okay, I also want to do exercise during that time. So the lesser the friction, more easy it is to hold on to that schedule. Aparna says her title of the book is Labyrinth of Silence, and we have a copy of her book in the Lively Library, Belgavi. You can also read it. The story is actually based in Belgavi. That's the best part about it. I've done a little bit only, not a pivotal role, just assisting and telling about Belgavi. So the experience of reading should make you happy. So don't go into a book that is boring. Start with something that you are likely to like. This is where the role of bibliotherapy or the therapist comes into picture. Now here are a few ideas that I have suggested to make your experience of reading more lively. This is something I play with my friends, especially with my wife. I sometimes just pause, even if you are watching a movie, I pause and ask her to think. It's a great idea. If I'm reading a book with some friend of mine, we pause at a place and try to see who could be the killer in that thriller if we are going to the thriller. This is a nice exercise. Suppose you are buying a book together, or let's say if you are sharing a book together, or if you are doing a silent reading party in a library or a cafe, this is a nice exercise. You pause and think about what the character could do. Okay, it's a nice exercise to keep in mind. And the second thing is something that I've played in a lot of bookstores. I go to Sapna, I go to Blossoms in Bangalore, and trust me, when I've been there and I've just let myself some hours, let's say I have given myself 2 hours, and I am not thinking, I'm just letting the feeling come to me. I'm just going around each section and then I'm just randomly picking books. And you see, the books that I've picked have been really helpful to me, but it may not have helped me in that particular day, week, or month. The book that I picked 2 years back may help me 3-4 years later, because I do believe that there is this magic in books. You can try this. You visit a store and just drop any judgments about yourself. Trust yourself to pick the right book. The first book that comes is usually the right choice. Think about this. Try to play this game. Not necessarily in a bookstore if your budget is tight, but you can also do this in a library. You can also do setup challenges with your friends. Like, let's say I'm going to finish this book in this many hours, or you can say I'm going to read these many books, or I'm going to, let's say, talk about the book after reading. You can also consider joining a book club if you have nearby. There is also something I did as an exercise called the Q&A synchronicity. At the end of the video, I'll paste the link of that experiment which I did at the end of the workshop. Basically, it's about 2 people sitting next to each other, having 2 papers, 2 pens, A and B. A will start writing 5 random questions, B will start writing 5 random answers. After that process is done, they are not looking at each other's papers, they reverse the roles. The person answering will write the questions and the person who asks the questions will write the answers, and then we compare. There are only 2 rules again. Don't think, keep writing. This is a Q&A synchronicity exercise that you can try. I will send the link of the experiment I did in a college very soon. Okay. One moment. I'm just checking if all is okay. Yeah. Now I'm coming to the next important point here, and that is something very important. A lot of people quit reading because of this challenge. They feel that because they have bought the book and they feel guilty of having bought the books and not finished it. I do feel that when you're reading and you're not liking it, it's okay, drop it off. Go to the next thing, do something else. It's not necessary to use this particular feeling for future. Just because you have so many books lying down and you're not reading, that should not be the reason for you to buy your next book or not buy your next book. I mean, you should go and further. You should go and one moment. Let me see if I am able to share screen. It seems there was some challenge. Give me a moment. Okay. Am I sharing it now? Let me see. Give me a heads up if you are able to see. Yeah, I think now it's visible. So here, it's okay. Just remind yourself that it is perfectly okay to not finish every book you start. That's the whole point, basically. Next, I also feel that a book deserves a second chance. We all human beings also make mistakes. We do deserve second chance. There is some magic connected with second chance. So, a book that you are reading is not being good to you right now. It's not appealing right now. So drop it off. But sometime later, whenever that is, do give it a second try. Because this is something that I've experienced. It's usually not the book that is bad. It's my mood sometimes. So you should not judge a book based on that. Give it a second chance later some other time. That's the exercise. Also, when I was talking to a Sanskrit teacher recently, a lot of people don't read because reading becomes tough, or they don't read about a particular subject because the subject becomes tough. And while talking with him, what I realized is, if you are imparting something, if you are teaching something, it's also important that we teach in a way that is engaging enough, or it's encouraging them to get interested into the subject and not just study for the sake of exams. That is what I realized while talking to him. He gave me a very good example that if you're starting out on a Sanskrit journey, he starts his class by saying that don't say you don't know Sanskrit. You already know. There are so many terms you already know. And he starts there. He starts asking the question, what is water called? In Kannada they say Niru. Then he says, say another word. Then there is a word called Jal. Then he says, yes, the source is Sanskrit there. So what I realized is sometimes we are also influenced by our teachers. So if we are teaching something, it's important that we are responsible enough to teach in a way or try our best to get that interest of the child so that they are influenced to pick up books. And this is what I realized. And if you have not read in your childhood, good time to pick up now. Now coming to my own personal experiences, at the age of 5, my mother gifted me a dictionary, and she taught me on the very same day on how to start reading, how to make use of the dictionary. The first word that I learned was abandon. I remember that. So I used to pick up 5 words every day, write down the page, and she made sure that I made sentences using those words on the very same day. Later it helped me really well to appear for SAT and TOEFL exams because my vocabulary was very good. And then by 5 I was already looking at the dictionary. Then my great grandpa, he also encouraged me to write. So the exchange of letters with him, he was in Holayalur and I was in Belgaum then also, and then we were exchanging letters. This also helped me to grow my love towards writing and books. And a few minutes ago I said that I had this feeling that I should do something for my favorite author Richard Bach, and I actually did. As an ode to his books, I wrote a short film, and the title of the film is B Tweets. So what is B Tweets? It is book tweets. So how email comes from electronic mail, I titled it as B Tweets. So it's a story of 2 book lovers who are in love with each other without seeing each other. So they are using the library as a premise and they are playing games with each other. One of the bibliophiles, one of the book lovers is writing a quote inside a book, and then there's a clue inside the book which takes them to the next book and so on. It's a short film. I am also going to send the link of that later. So that is what I did, and I was fortunate enough to send this movie to Richard Bach, and Richard Bach wrote back saying that he was really happy to watch the movie. He was thrilled, and he had some good words to say. That's one of the greatest experiences I have had to communicate with Richard Bach over email, and he was really happy that I made this film. And then in 2016, the Lively Library happened, and the synchronicity of it is that later we also went on to open a library under that same name. So overall, what I feel is, for any therapy to work, you must have the faith that it is going to do good to you, and then begin whatever you pick up. And I have introduced you to the wonderful field of bibliotherapy involving books and pens, and I hope that it takes you to greater places and it also helps you to heal. So that's the workshop for you. I'm now going to list out certain resources. I'm going to share this one list. There are so many websites, but I've picked these. I'm going to screen share and show you the magic of this particular website called whichbook.net. It's something that I liked a lot. Okay, I'm going to share the screen now. Okay, so this is the website. Suppose you want to recommend a book to your own self, on your own. This is something that you can check, whichbook.net. Here you can put the emotion, okay? You can also go by maps, and the atlas you can see which book you want to read and so on. But let's say you want to read a book about happiness, or let's say a book that lifts you up, and there is also the bar. You want a book more towards sad or more towards happiness. Let's say I want to be optimistic, and I want to be larger than life. I also want it to be beautiful. And as I am filtering them, the book titles are appearing. You see? I want it to be gentle, let's say. So I have so many books. One of my favorite authors, Alexander McCall-Smith, is there, and this book is actually in my reading list right now. I have this book on my Kindle, Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. So this is how it works. You can try using this. It's called whichbook.net. Similarly, there are other websites that I have recommended which you can take a look at. In this list, the one that I showed is my favorite. Let me come back to screen sharing. Okay, I hope you are able to see the screen again. Alright, then there is this book of amazing thing is the title of the book itself is Bibliotherapy. I hope you are able to see it. This is a nice book. It talks about bibliotherapy, wherein she means it's all about books. Like, she is recommending different kinds of books for different types of concepts. I'll just read out the concepts. And this author has dedicated the book to her mother also. So the categories are confidence and courage, for adulting, for environment, for first loves and great loves, for heartbreak, for self-love, for creativity, for your mind, for feeling grief or loss and loss of direction. So these are the categories in which she has recommended books, and I would suggest that you also take up that book. I recommend that over Novel Cure. If you want something basic, Novel Cure is good, but if you want to go a little deeper, like specific recommendations and more recommendations, then Bibliotherapy is a good resource. Next, now I am offering you 3 services. Like, I am good at this, and so I am offering that. Suppose you have somebody in your family and you want to gift them something, but you are not sure what to gift. I can offer that service. You can tell me a little bit about that person. Let's say it's a 14-year-old boy. I'll send you a quick questionnaire. You answer that, and then I will suggest you a book that you should gift. So this is a service I am offering under gift curation. Suppose you want a book prescription from me based on whatever you are dealing with right now, you can also take up that service. I have linked the form. I'll be sending the form now. You can fill that form. And once you fill the form, you will also get your participation certificate. And in the form itself, there is a form for you to get the prescription. So these are the offers these are the services I'm offering. The third one, if you have felt that the last 60 minutes that I've spent with you has had value, or if you want to contribute to U&I Foundation, you can also UPI whatever amount that you want, and the proceeds will go to the foundation. I'm doing this in association with U&I Foundation. I got to know about this from Sai Kiran and Ashutosh and Srinivas Kulkarni. So these are the three things I wanted to convey. I'm now sending the link of the form in the chat, and then I will open the chat for questions. So the first one is this. So this is the form. Please fill it, and after you fill the form, it may take a minute or two for the certificate to be delivered to you. And here, if you want a prescription, or if you want a gift recommendation for anybody, for all ages, you can use the link within the form. And there is also a questionnaire. So I'll go through the questionnaire quickly, just to show you what kind of questionnaire it is. Okay, I'm stopping the share. So here is, so you see I have questions here which will tell me about you, what kind of reading style you have, how many books have you read, what kind of challenges you are dealing with right now, what do you want at the end, what kind of recommendation you are seeking, and so on. So you can fill the form, and then accordingly I will send the recommendations to you in 2 or 3 days. Now I am open to any kind of questions based on whatever you have seen so far. And yes, now I am going to say the next set of links, but before that I can take questions. Are there any questions? How did you feel spending time here learning about different forms of bibliotherapy? I will enable okay, I'll enable the option. Give me a moment. Okay. Alright, now anybody who wants to talk can do it. I have enabled the option. So Sai Kiran and Srinivas, are you both here? Let me see. Yes, okay. Cannot unmute. Okay, let me see if I can try. Or maybe you can raise hand, and then I will know who wants to speak. Okay. So I want to know what was the major takeaway for all of you. You can put your answer in the chat. I have shared so many ideas within the framework of bibliotherapy. What is it that stood out for you? Were there any particular moments that you felt, okay, this was special to me, this is my major takeaway? You can let me know if that is the case. So it's also a good feedback for me to understand what kind of aspect I should focus more on. And if you want any links that I pasted there, I can also share it here. I think this was a very important slide for the workshop, where I am giving you an overview of all the topics I have covered. Yes, Aparna.
Hi, Niranjan.
Hello.
You have really touched upon. Yeah, hi, can you hear me, Niranjan?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to compliment and appreciate you on talking about this topic, which is rarely touched upon. Everybody these days talks about finance, how to grow financially, how to start being an entrepreneur. There is a lot of things on towards that part where our country is progressing. Nobody talks about how books can help you grow as an individual. So, thank you so much for selecting this topic, which is close to my heart. And I see that there are so many people who are, actively coming here, engaging on a Sunday morning when all we want to do is just put up our feet and be lazy. But you made us think about our choices in life, reconsider them, what kind of books we read, what we need to read. So you touched upon a uh, varied topics today, and you have been very precise in what you wanted to say. You did not beat around the bush. You did not wander. We did not feel lost. So thank you so much. I just want to, uh, share my heartfelt appreciation towards the cause, and also, for you and me. I look forward to, engaging with them on outside this platform so that I can share whatever little bit I have. I can share it with them.
Yes.
So thank you so much for having me, Niranjan. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna, for sharing your thoughts. I'm glad that I know you. Everybody wanted to also mention that Aparna also was a medium in helping us get a lot of books to the library. So thank you. Okay. In the chat, I received a message to share the links connected to the questionnaire. So Tanmay wants to say something. I'm letting him talk.
Yeah, hey Niranjan. This
Then
is this was a completely unexpected thing. So I knew you were doing this, and then I didn't really expect to join. It's not how I thought I'd spend my Sunday morning.
oh, I'm glad you
But it
did.
was fun. It was mostly reinforcement of many things for me. The books as a route to a deeper level of self-awareness or an understanding of what needs to be done. And if I had to pinpoint one thing, it would be to forgive myself if I don't finish a book, because I'm a sort of person who when I start something, I expect myself to finish it. But there are maybe 4 or 5 books sitting in the library behind me, like right now, where I have not finished. I read 4 or 5 pages and I get bored. So maybe that's something that I'll take away. That it's okay. Maybe let my curiosity drive my reading habits a bit more.
Ah,
That's
I'm glad.
yeah.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of people don't read because of the pile, and in the slide also I wrote it many times that it is perfectly okay because it's ingrained in us so deeply that we sometimes are hesitant. But yeah, also I wanted to just do a quick. I want to just show this one form because it is a feedback form and it will really help me if you are able to fill this. I'm going to share the screen and show it to you. One moment. Yeah, it is here. This is the form, and in case you want to avail prescription, then you can scan the code here, pay 99. Or if you want to donate, you can also do that. And the link to the prescription form is here. I have also put the prescription form in the Zoom chat. And yeah, this is for prescription, and the general form is this one. If you fill this form, the certificate will come to you. This is that form. And there is a question I am going to take up now. This question is from VTPC. reading one book for several times is good, like chanting mantra, or should we go on reading more books we learn? What is my opinion? Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for asking me that question. I myself feel there are some books that deserve to be read again and again. One such book on top of my mind is Bhagavad Gita. Then there are some books which you don't want to end, like 40 Rules of Love by Ali Shafak. When I was reading it, I did not want the book to end, and I actually felt bad that such a great book is coming to an end. So there are also those categories. Now, the categories will be different for different people. The book that I don't want to end will be a book, or could be a book for you that, array, when is it going to end? The connotation is different, though the words are same. Like the order of words is different. So here I am saying that you must explore and find it out for yourself as to which works for you. The reason I provided you all with varied or variations of bibliotherapy is because it's not necessary that only one form is the bibliotherapy form. There are, like I said, if there's a book and pen involved, it comes under this category, in my opinion. So you can explore other forms also. Now, let's say you want to read a book that you have, and you want to complete the series. Let's say it's part 1, part 2 and part 3, but part 1 is itself not good and you've already bought part 2, part 3. It is okay. The other thing you could do is you could ask a friend if they are interested in reading it, and you could give them the books that you have. Buying a book is never a waste of money. Remember this. I am so grateful to my parents. They never said no to books, and that is why I am able to talk about books today. And there was another question by VTPC about how much time we should give for reading. I believe that you must start small, like start with 5 minutes per day. If you feel you've done 5 minutes, do 10 minutes. Like slowly increase the pace. But I also feel that it is about finding the right book also. Like it is a good idea to consult a therapist and get the book for yourself, or also consult books like the one I just mentioned, Bibliotherapy. Thank you, Aparna. See you. So that is my take on the question. Alright, I think we are nearing the end of the session. I urge all of you to think and consider what you could do for the UNI Foundation. If you felt that you have gained some value from this workshop, I would suggest that you contribute to their cause. And I have a question from Neha. Neha says that the session was great and she's glad to be introduced to a different catalog of books. She was completely naive to this bibliotherapy, and she had always been reading random books, although it was passive reading. Of course, again, there's a lot to talk about the style of reading also. So once you understand your style, it becomes easy to delve into it. And Tanmay says that he has actually helped U&I Foundation. One of his childhood friends works for U&I and is based out of Bangalore. He wishes all the best to all of you. Sai Kiran and Srinivas, do you have something to say?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, and am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. This was actually a very great workshop. Like, I got to explore a different kind of, you can say, domain of of reading, actually. And people usually say that I belong to Gen Z. Okay, I belong to the Gen Z generation, and in Gen Z generation, we often struggle to focus on one thing for long hours, actually. And reading actually becomes especially difficult for our generation. And recently, from past couple of months, I've been trying to just bring that reading habit back into me. And whenever I feel I have to just sit out of boredom, I just open a book, try to read 6 or 8 pages out of it. I don't try to finish everything at the same time. I just try to read 6 or 8 pages out of it, and I try to reflect on what I have been reading. And right now, when I sat through the whole session and listened to everything you had to say, I started aligning the tips and this strategies with my reading habits right now, and I can see where that is going to help me.
I'm
Like,
glad. I'm glad that you are able to see that there are some directions you're getting, some analysis of the kind of patterns you are having. Great. I'm very happy that this happened today. And
yes,
I will probably be there for a couple of minutes. If there are no questions, we can take leave. Thank you, Tanmay. Thank you, Srinivas. Thank you, Sai Kiran. Any questions, my dear participants? Do you have any questions? So I'm just pasting out the links which I did in the beginning. If you are in Belagavi, do consider visiting our library. It's in Rani Chennamma Nagar. I've also written a book called The Lively Library and an Unlikely Romance. You can also consider checking it. There's also a short film. Like I said, it was something that I wanted to do for my favorite author, so I wrote a film called Be Tweets. It's a 34-minute short film available on YouTube. That link is also there. And remember, if you ever want to gift somebody and you don't know what to gift them, my name should definitely be on your list. Consider asking me a recommendation. Also, if you are not in a reading phase and you want to begin with, take that prescription questionnaire and see whether and test for yourself if the book that you get as a recommendation works for you. And my gratitude to Sai Kiran and Srinivas for helping me set this up. I'm sure that we'll do many more things like this in the future. I also appreciate the endeavors that you are doing connected with you and I. And I'm glad that I was able to do my bit. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Neha, for the wishes.
Recording stop.